Hello my loves and welcome back to a new video. So this is my Boo Boo's Glitter Glory design for the month of February. But before we get into the design, I have a few things to share with you guys. Some of this you may have heard before, but it still applies, so here we go. Under the category nail art, you can find these 12 beautiful colors of Mylars at $1.25 each. You can also find these 12 beautiful colors of butterflies at $1.25 each. 11 of these are holographic, and then the white ones are matte, which I have never seen before, and it's so pretty. We also have 12 colors of these cute hearts. 10 of these are this pearlescent, and then the gold and silver ones are holographic. These are also $1.25 each. And we have 12 colors of these cute stars. 11 of these are holographic, and then the clear ones, they are iridescent. These are also $1.25 each. Then also under the category nail art, Boo Boo still has some of the Halloween stickers left. These are in a bundle of 2 + 1 for free, so you get 3 sheets of stickers for $6. Under the category mystery goodie bag, you can get $25, $50, and $75 goodie bags. Like the name says, these are mystery bags, so each bag will have different products inside. Boo Boo does have a video on her YouTube channel where she gives an example of what you could find in these bags. Under the Beyond the Stars collection category, you can of course find the latest Galaxy Dust collection. This is a collection of 14 beautiful pixie glitters, and what this means is that they're finer glitters, so they don't have the larger chunks in them. All 14 glitters are glow in the dark, by the way, and I feel like sometimes it's hard to capture the true beauty of a glitter in pictures, but Boo Boo's Glitter Glory also has a video on her YouTube channel with clips of all these glitters in the daylight, so definitely go check that out because these are absolutely stunning. Okay, so then we have 2 products that are permanently reduced in price. First of all, we have under the category Boo Boo's Glitter Glory line, the Boo Boo's embellishment goodies. These are mixes of Swarovski crystals, glass crystals, micro beads in silver and gold, and then silver and gold shapes. And there is a different mix for each birthstone. These used to be $9.99 and are now reduced to $5.99. And then we have the birthday goodie bags. There is a different one for each of the birthstones, and these are reduced from $20 to $14.99. Next we have a new category, and I am so excited for this one. We have the category Crystals and Rhinestones, and we have in this category the Majestic Crystals, and they are absolutely flippin' stunning, gorgeous, amazing. There are 12 different shapes, and you get 2 crystals for $1.49. And then there are unicorn crystals, and again, these are so pretty and mesmerizing. For now, there are 4 shapes, and you get 10 crystals for $2.99. Boo Boo did say that she will be getting more shapes in the future. To save yourself some coins, don't forget to use my code LOT10 when placing an order. And then the last thing I want to mention about Boo Boo is she still has a giveaway running. Go and enter the giveaway. I mean, the winner is getting so much stuff. You get the entire birthstone collection, you get the entire Galaxy Dust collection, and you get a whole bunch of other stuff that I don't even remember, but go and enter because it's a lot. And then last week she uploaded her latest video where she gives a tour of the website, shows you how to navigate it, and also gives some information about her products. So it's very informative, very interesting, and it's only 10 minutes or something, so it doesn't take up too much of your time. So I will leave the links to all the videos I've mentioned in this intro in my description box as always. So now let's get into my design. So I will be using the following, the Amethyst glitter, because that's the birthstone for February. And then I'm also going to use the emerald and the peridot glitters. I'm going to mix these to create another shade of green. I will be showing you how I did that later on in the video, but here you can see what the mix looks like. I'm going to use the embellishments for Amethyst, obviously, also the embellishments or some of the point backs from Alexandrite, some of the point backs from Emerald, and some of the point backs from Peridot. I'm going to be using a bunch of SS20 and SS10 AB crystals. Those are also from Boo Boo Glitter Glory, and then some smaller AB crystals that I have from AliExpress or something. Then I'll be using #edgy from Light Elegance. This is a shimmery green gel polish. I'm going to be using a lot of Light Elegance Tech, and then a blooming gel. And also this is a purpley pinkish chrome pigment. I'm going to use two kinds of full cover plastic tips from a cart. I'm going to use the medium stilettos in sizes 0 and 2, and then the long stilettos in sizes 0 and 2 as well. So I'm going to use like the metal lid from a jar. This is a jar. There are like scented candles in here and my mom cleans them out for me, so I'm using the lid from that jar. First I removed the sticker, and now I'm taking some acetone on a lid-free wipe and removing the glue residue from the sticker. I'm also going over the entire lid with it to clean off any products or dust or whatever. And now I'm going to scratch up the outer surface of this lid, because I'm going to have to cover it all around with some gel. So as you can see, I'm using a file to do this. It was hard to film this, but you get the idea. You could also use sanding paper for it, but I didn't feel like going looking for some sanding paper. So after that, I'm removing the dust, and now I'm wiping over with some acetone again to make sure that all the dust and dirt is removed. And then I'm coming in with the tag from Light Elegance and applying this all around the border. I do apply in smaller sections and then cure after each section. And after that has had a full cure, I'm coming in with some clear polygel. Again, I want to apply this all around the border, but I did do this in smaller sections as well. I'm trying to make this as smooth as possible, but I will end up filing later, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So the lid will be the part of the candle holder that the tea light will be put in. You could theoretically create this entirely out of gel or acrylic, but I didn't know how well that would stand the heat, so that's why I chose a metal lid for this. After I've cured all the polygel around my lid fully, I am applying a layer of the #edgy from Light Elegance. I've done this in sections as well, I believe, curing in between. This part will hardly be visible in the end, so you don't really have to do it, but I decided to do it anyway because I wasn't sure how much of this would be visible in the end result. So after that has fully cured, I'm applying a layer of a builder in a bottle on top of that. I'm making this a fairly generous layer because it seals in the gel polish first of all, and second, I want this layer to be thick enough for there to be room to file this surface smooth. So after curing this fully, I'm removing the sticky layer with some alcohol on a lid-free wipe, and then I'm going to file over the bottom and the top to make the edges straight. I'm doing this with a hand file, this part, but then to file the actual sides, I'm using my e-file and a fine grit sanding band. And when I've gone all around the side like this, I'm going over with a buffer as well. Then I'll again remove all the dust and clean over with some alcohol on a lint-free wipe. And then I'm going in with another layer of the #edgy because I did file away some of it. And after this layer is cured, I'm going to apply another layer of the builder in a bottle. This time it's just a thin layer to seal it in. I don't need any more thickness. And next we're going to start working on the petals. So I'm taking the size 2 of the small stiletto tips, and as you can see, I'm using my e-file and a sanding band. I left this in real speed so you can see how slow my e-file is going. So I have my fine grit sanding band again, and I'm using this just to scratch up the inside of my tips. I am not trying to take off any thickness of the tip. I'm just trying to scratch it up so that the product will have something to hang on to. So I have 8 of these tips in total. I've done the filing on the inside for all of them and then cleaned them. And then I'm going in with a layer of the tag from Light Elegance, giving that a cure in my lamp. Then I'm going in with a layer of the hashtag edgy and curing that too. And then I'm going to go in with the Amethyst glitter. So to apply the glitter, I'm going to use like a builder gel in a tube. You have those from Macart and other brands. So I'm putting some of the gel into the tip. I needed a little more. You want to keep this layer fairly thin but also have enough product to adhere your glitter. So I am applying my glitter into the wet layer, trying to put more glitter at the cuticle area of the tip and then less glitter as I work my way towards the tip of the tip. So my flower will have 4 layers of petals in total. These are the petals of my first layer, and then I will use 8 tips of the number 0 of the medium stiletto tips as well for my second layer of petals. And then for the 2 outer layers I will use the long stiletto tips. So I knew I wanted to do a candle holder, I knew I wanted to make it a flower, and that I was going to use the tips as petals, but other than that I didn't really have a plan. So I'm going to do a lot of stuff that you can do differently looking back at it, so I will tell you guys what you can do differently when the time comes. Anyway, after curing the second layer of glitter in place, I am encapsulating it with a layer of that builder in a tube, and then I'm removing the sticky layer, and then I'm going to file this lightly. I'm using a extra fine I think, an extra fine ceramic bit for this. And like I said, filing lightly, just want to make the surface smooth, but I'm not trying to file away a lot of the product because I also did encapsulate with a really thin layer of the builder gel. I'm then removing the dust after filing, and then I'm turning my tip over so that the top side of the tip is facing up. And then I'm using my fine grit sanding band again and running this over the top surface. This time it is sped up, but I am going on a very low speed again because again I'm not trying to take away any of the thickness, but I'm just trying to scratch up the surface for products to adhere to it. I'm then quickly going over with my buffer. I'll then wipe away the dust, and then I'm cleaning with some alcohol as well. And then I'm going in on this side with a layer of the tag from Light Elegance and curing this in my lamp. I will then apply a layer of no wipe top coat because I'm going to use the chrome powder. Now, for ideal curing time for applying your chrome powder, you'll have to experiment because it depends on your top coat and your lamp. But anyway, after curing, I'm applying the chrome powder with a makeup applicator first, and then I'm burnishing it in with a silicone tool. When I'm done burnishing, I'll again brush off the excess pigment with a soft brush. Then I'm going to seal this in with a layer of a builder in a bottle. And when that layer is cured, I'm going to remove the tacky or sticky layer, and then I'm going to buff over the surface because we want this to be a non-shiny surface for way later when I'm going to top coat my flower. And that's it for the petals of my first and second row of my flower. So as I said before, the first row will have 8 petals of the number 2 medium stiletto tips from Macart, and then the second row will be 8 petals of the number 0 of the medium stiletto tips. To attach my petals, I'm using polygel. So I have a dot of polygel that I put on the side of this, well, the lid actually acts as the center of my flower, if you will. So I have some polygel that I put on the side. I first manipulate it into place with a brush dipped in some alcohol. Then I press one of the petals into this. And then before curing, I'm going to take some time pulling and pushing the polygel over the petals so it's kind of sealed in into the polygel. So I spent quite a bit of time on positioning my petals. For this first row, I wanted the tip of the petals to point to the ceiling, to point up, but I also wanted them to be tilted back slightly. So this wasn't easy because I was working with uncured polygel, so every time I touched it to fade the polygel into my petal, I would move the position of my petal. But anywho, when I finally got it the way I wanted it, I flash cured with my flashlight and then of course gave it a further cure in my regular lamp. I then marked where I wanted the other petals to be, but as you can see, I just show pictures of the progress because I did it the exact same way. I also secured the petals with more polygel on the inside after curing them in place, by the way. And then after they are all on there, I cleaned the sticky layer of the polygel with alcohol and a stiff brush, and then I'm going in with my e-file and my fine grit sanding band to smooth the polygel into my petals so you don't have this harsh, you know, transition. Be careful not to take off all of the polygel so that your petals are still secured in place. And then I'm going to work on the base for my flower. So first I'm roughly sketching out the size of the base that will essentially be a leaf. I then have two pieces of a plastic bag and I'm cleaning them on both sides with alcohol and a lint-free wipe. And then I put one of the pieces of plastic on top of my sketched circle, more or less, and I'm going to create my base. So I'm using a lot of polygel for this. My tube popped open on the top instead of coming out of the nozzle thing piece of the tube. I used this polygel, by the way, because it's a polygel that I don't like because it's too stiff, as obviously demonstrated because of the tube popping open. But this project was perfect for me to use up products that I don't like to use on my nails but that are still usable. So I first tried to spread out the polygel with a brush, and as you can see, that did not work. So now I'm taking my spatula tool from my polygel brush and I have some alcohol on it, and with that I'm, well, scraping it open. So like I said, this is going to be a leaf. So first of all, it doesn't have to be a perfect circle because, you know, a leaf isn't a perfect circle. And also the shape doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight, the edge, because it's a natural shape. So here I took some more polygel. This was a very annoying and messy process. By the way, if you have the, what's it called, like the resin, UV resin or other resin, if you have that stuff, I think it would be a smarter idea to use that for this base than to use polygel, but I don't have that, so that's why I chose to use polygel. So when I was done spreading it around with my spatula, I put the other piece of plastic on there and then put a book on there to flatten it out. And then you can see with my closed polygel tool, I rolled it out like you would roll out dough, and then I put my lamp on top to cure. I thought the ripple in the bag would not end up being in my polygel. I thought the weight from the product would push the ripple down, which I was wrong, obviously. So I do have a ripple in my base, but I will fix that later. So I'm cutting off all the excess stuff that I don't need because there you saw my brush flying. This was a pretty hectic project, but the end result was worth it. So anywho, I cut off all the bits I didn't need, made it more or less into a flattened circle, and then I'm filling in the ridge on the inside with some more polygel. As you saw, I then cured, removed the sticky layer, And now I'm going to file. This was annoying. Again, if you have sanding paper, that will be much easier for this, but I didn't feel like looking for it. So I filed on both. Well, on this side I filed and then I buffed, and then on the other side I buffed. But this side will end up being the bottom side of my base. I hope that that makes sense, but it will later. So after doing that, you saw before that there were quite a bit of air bubbles in this base. So after cleaning it off, I'm going to fill in the largest air bubbles. So I'm starting at the bottom side because some of the air bubbles were open on the bottom side of the base and others were open on the top side of the base. So I have this gel in a tube that I was using a brush, and then I thought that's stupid. I could just immediately squirt it into the holes. So I'm just squirting it into the holes first, and then I'm using a brush to smooth it out into the holes. And then I am going to cure after I filled up all the holes on this side. When this comes out of my lamp, I'm going to apply a layer of this is just a regular builder gel. Again, this is a gel that I did like, but it was like, I only had a little bit left of it, so I was able to just finish this jar of gel. So that's another good thing. I just used bits of products that were left. Anywho, I did this in two times. So I did half of it with the builder gel cured, did the other half with the builder gel cured, and now what you just saw me show you, this is a top coat, but a gel top coat. That's why it's in a jar and not a polished bottle. It's a little less flexible than a gel polish top coat, and I applied this also again in two separate times, so half cured, other half cured. That top coat does have a sticky layer, so after curing I did remove the sticky layer with alcohol and some wipes. So that was the bottom of my base. Now I'm working on the top of my base, again filling in the holes that are open from this side, curing in my lamp, and then now I'm working with a base coat, but again a gel base coat. Again, I just wanted to finish this pot, so I covered the entire thing with a layer of the gel base coat, again in two times. And now I'm going to go in with my green gel polish. I just poured some of it out on top of my base. It was easier than just going in with my brush. So I poured it, I spread it open, I cured, and then I did a second layer. And now I'm going to mix my green glitter. So First I started with 3 scoops of each, I think, and then I added 1 scoop of the light green and in total 3 scoops of the dark green, so of the emerald. So I ended up with 6 scoops of the emerald and 4 scoops of the peridot. And I mean, this was the perfect mix for the color of this leaf that I wanted. So the inspiration for this was a lotus flower because that's my favorite flower. But Boo Boo immediately said water lily when she saw it. So I looked it up, and apparently those two look really similar, at least when it comes to shape of the flower and the petals and the leaves. So it could be either way. So I've covered this entire green base with a layer of the gel in a tube, and first I started scooping on the glitter with a cuticle pusher, which was kind of dumb. So then I started just pouring it on from the jar and then tapping off the excess. I'm flattening the bigger chunks that stick up. So I did this in 2 times again, and then cured, flattening the bigger chunks. After curing, I'm brushing off the excess with a stiff brush. I'm only doing 1 layer of the glitter because I have the green gel polish underneath, and then I encapsulated the entire thing with my builder gel. I just poured on my builder gel and then let it spread and self-level on its own. So while the gel was spreading, I took the base in my hand and then I tilted it in all directions to help it spread, and then when it nearly reached the edge, I did help it towards the edge with my brush. But like I said, if you have resin, do this with resin. So I've then removed the sticky layer, and then I'm going over with my file. Again, this is a very fine grit file that I use. Then I'm going to go around the edge with my e-file and a sanding band, as you saw. Here it is after filing, so as you can see I also rounded out the edge to make it look more like a leaf, and I also added this dip because mostly a lotus flower or water lily flower has that. And then I added some veining using a detailing brush and a gel paint that I bought in a set, but I will be reviewing that on my channel soon. So I started with 4 veins, I flash cured, I added a couple more, flash cured, and so on. And then after I painted all of them, I gave it a full cure. And then I sealed in one last time with a layer of base coat. So this was just to seal in this veining, and then I cured this base coat, and then I removed the sticky layer. So you guys know usually these Boo-Boo's Glitter Glory Birthstone videos are collaborations with Sassyfantasie Nails and Reviews, but we decided to stop calling them collaborations because we're always uploading on different dates, and that's because it's hard for me to plan something for a specific date. Anywho, we are still both doing these Boo-Boo birthstone videos each month. We are still friends. We still refer to each other's videos, so don't worry about that. Sassy used the Amethyst glitter on her own nails. She did a different design on each hand, and she also re-uploaded her Amethyst video from last year, so I will leave the link to both videos in my description box. So I'm going to attach the second row of petals, and first I held one of the petals against what I already had to see where I wanted it. Then I had already removed a little bit at the corners of the cuticle area because that way it will fit better, but I decided I need to remove a little more, so that's what I'm doing here using my e-file and again this fine grit sanding band, again checking against my base to see if it fits nicely, and then I will attach. So first I'm marking where I'm going to have to put the polygel with a pencil. I only did this once because it was practically the same for all the other petals, at least where I had to put the polygel. So I'm putting polygel on the inside edges of the petals from the first row, and then I'm going to press that petal that I prepped into this. I'm then smoothing out the polygel, again faffing around with the petal because it kept moving, but when I have it where I wanted it, wow, I flash cure with my flashlights, and then I'm going to take some more polygel at the cuticle area of this, this petal. Sounds crazy, but hey, you know what I mean. I'm going to put some polygel there, so at the center piece of the flower. I'm smoothing this out, flash curing again, and I'm going to add some more there so I am sure that my petal is sealed in properly. But for all the other petals I did this in one go, so I put some polygel on the inside edges of the petals from the first row, and I immediately put some polygel on the flower, the center piece from the flower. I hope you know what I mean. I pressed my petal in and then I smooth out on all these 3 sides and then cure. And then, like you can see me do here, I put some polygel on the inside of this petal as well and cured, and then I attached the 7 other petals. So this is what I have so far. Now, before continuing with row 3 and 4 of the petals, I want to attach my flower piece that I already have onto my base. And this is where planning in advance would have saved me a lot of work. So basically, I wanted to cure the 2 parts together with gel, but I realized that that wasn't going to work because the light wouldn't be able to reach the gel. So I needed to remove the entire center circle thing. So I drilled 4 holes with this really pointy drill bit. Then I widened one of the holes with a narrow ceramic bit. Then I started filing a slit towards the second hole, but as you just saw, it was only on one side of my base, so I had to do it on the other side later as well. And I did that all the way around to remove the entire circle. When that was removed, I smoothed the inside of this circle with my fine sanding band, and on the underside of my base I had to remove the top coat for about 2 centimeters around the entire circle, and then I'm scoring the circle into the backing paper of a nail form by tracing it with my dotting tool, and then I need to create a square that the circle fits into, making sure that there is some space between the edges of the square and the edge of the circle. I'm using a builder in a bottle to do this, and I'm doing this on the shiny side of the backing paper of the nail form, obviously, and I'm also applying 2 layers, curing in between. When the second layer is cured, I'll remove the sticky layer with alcohol and nail wipe on both sides of this gel square. You guys are probably thinking, what the hell is she doing? But just hold on, it will all make sense. After cleaning this square, I'm going to hold it against the hole in my base and then trace where I can cut off some of the excess at the corners of my square. And now you can also see why I had to file away some of the top coat of this bottom of my base, because I have to attach this thin sheet of gel to that bottom piece of my base. So I'm cutting away the excess. Some of it broke off, but my circle was still large enough, luckily. And then I'm going to use a base coat that's made to attach nail tips to the nail with a prey method. So it's a little thicker than most base coats, and also a little more sticky than most base coats. So I'm applying a generous layer of this around the circle, and then I'm going to hold my gel sheet to this, holding it down with my finger, and then where I'm pressing it down, I'm flash curing with my flashlight, going all the way around the circle like this. After the flash curing, I'm giving it a full cure in my normal lamp, and then I'm sealing in the outer edge of this sheet of gel with a layer of the builder in a bottle, as you can see. So I'm going over or outside the edge of this sheet of gel. After that, I cure in my lamp, and then I'm applying a layer of no wipe top coat outside of the builder in a bottle that I had just applied to seal in the sheet of gel, and I'm also applying this top coat over the entire window that I created in my base, basically. And then I'm going to give this a full cure in my lamp. So this is why I said that it would have been easier if I had planned this out, because if I would have thought of this, I would have, before putting my gel polish and my glitter onto my base, I could have traced out my lid at that point and then left that middle circle clear at that point, so then I wouldn't have to do all of the steps that I just did and that I'm still having to do at this point. So I'm filling up the hole with polygel, but of course I'm going to leave this clear now, not going to paint over it. So I put some polygel into it, and then using my brush and some alcohol, I am smoothing it out. This is only my first layer of polygel, so I've cured this, and at this point I'm going in with a second layer of polygel because I want this entire hole to be filled up all the way to the top edge of my base. This layer, I want to smooth this out as much as I can, because this is, you know, the layer that will be attached with the flower part of my candle holder. So I'm smoothing this out as much as I can, getting it as smooth as possible, and then I'm curing this layer as well. And you guys know a polygel, most polygels aren't 100% clear, so most of them are a little bit murky, but it's still transparent, it's still see-through, so that's all the light needs. Okay, back to my flower part. So on the bottom of that lid, I'm going to apply a layer of that tack from Light Elegance, and then I'm using this is a gem gel, gel glue, crystal gel, whatever you want to call it, that I don't like to use on my nails again because it has this grainy texture. But again, in this case it was fine for this, and also it's a really thick consistency, which was also great in this case. As you can see here, I still had quite a bit of air in between the both pieces of my candle holder, so I didn't cure yet. I took them back apart, I put some more of the gem gel, and I put them back together. I was satisfied at this point that I didn't have any air bubbles, so I then cured it in my lamp upside down, so the flower part was at the bottom, so that the window part, so the clear part was on top, so that the light could penetrate to cure the gem gel. Okay, for the petals of row 3 and 4, I'm using the long stiletto tips in the sizes 2 and 0. I have 10 of each. I made them the same way, so I did the prep the same way as the other petals for row 1 and 2, but this time after the tack, I'm going in with a layer of that gel in the tube and then going in with my glitter into the wet gel, curing this, doing a second layer exactly the same way. At this point, I'm going in with a layer of blooming gel, and then I have some blooming gel in a glitter tray, and I am putting a detailing brush in the blooming gel and picking up some of that pigment, that chrome pigment, and I'm swirling this through the uncured layer of blooming gel that is on my nail already. I did this randomly on all the other tips, you know, just to create some interest in these petals. And then into this still wet layer, I'm picking up some of the larger chunks of the amethyst glitter and placing that in there. I then cured, and then I'm sealing all of this in with another layer of that builder in a tube. I then, after it was sealed in, as you can tell, I'm trying to keep this layer thin again as with the other petals, but after this was cured, I also filed this lightly with this ceramic bit. And then I cleaned off the dust, and then I'm going in with a little bit of that hashtag edgy just at the cuticle area and fading it up a bit, not all the way to the tip. And then I'm applying another layer of the builder in a bottle. On the outside, I did the same as with the other petals, so the chrome. And then at this point, so I attached the petals of row 4 because those were the outside petals, and those were just basically those were easy. They were just flat on the base, butt up all the way to the flower part, and then in between rows 2 and 4 I attached the petals of row 3. As you can see, this is the result after all of the petals were attached. So the petals of row 3 were took the most time to attach because I tried to, row 3 and 4, I tried to do those offset from row 1 and 2 to make it natural looking. I didn't want it to be super symmetrical, if that makes sense, because it's still, you know, a flower. So I had to take off a lot of the tips at that cuticle area to make them fit in between all the other petals. So it did take a lot of work, but it ended up working out. And at this point I'm attaching a bling. So in all of these petals from the first row, I put a SS20 and then 2 SS10s next to those, and then put 3 gold micro beads in between. I did that in all the petals from row 1 on the inside, and now I'm going to do some more bling in the petals of row 2. So I'm using point backs, the ones that I mentioned in the beginning of the video, point backs from Amethyst, from Peridot, from Emeralds, and from Alexandrites, and I surrounded that with more AB crystals. Like I said, the SS10s and 20s, those are also in the embellishment mix, but I have gotten a bunch of those from Boo Boo because I'm an ambassador. I also added some gold micro beads, you know, to fill up in some places in between the crystals. So I did a cluster like this in all the petals from row 2, and this is the results. Oh, isn't this so gorgeous? This is after going around and in between my crystals with a top coat. So I used a detailing brush going around and in between the crystals, not on top, but I did go on top of the gold micro beads. And then for top coating, I top coated each of the petals separately. So as you can see here, I'm top coating one of the petals from row 1, first the back, then the front, and then going out like over the free edge of that petal. I flash cured after each petal, so those were a lot of petals, but I did them all separately, flash cured after each one, and then gave a full cure after I top coated all of them. And then I top coated, of course, the base lastly. Because this was such a large surface, I did top coat the base twice, curing after each layer, of course. This project took so much time, like so much time, because I had like 36 tips to decorate. I had the base that I had to make. I also had that little centerpiece for the flower that I had to prepare. And then I had those few setbacks because I did not plan how I would do this design, but I think it was all worth it because I absolutely love how it turned out. I think it is so gorgeous. I love it. Let me know what you guys think of it. I hope you like it too. I hope you like this video. I know it was another long one. I of course had to include some pictures in the dark with the candle burning, and I think it looks so pretty. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you liked this video and this design, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I love you all, and I will talk to you in my next one. Bye bye. Mwah.